Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the MuseCast number 33, which is one of my favorite numbers. How about you, Dick? Is that
Mine,
one of your
mine
favorite numbers?
too. Mine too.
It's a good number. It's a good
And
number.
we've
You know,
talked.
it's
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say it's high on the numerology chart for spiritual energy. Very, very high. 11, 22, and 33 are big ones. And my name, my full Ash name is Ashley,
Uh-huh.
Ashly, instead of Ley.
Yeah,
And the
yeah.
reason for that was my parents took the E out so that way my name would equal out to be like a 22 or 33. I don't even remember which number it is. It might be an 11. But so numerology wise, I would align like more that way. That's what they did. I mean, I don't know. My life's pretty great. Maybe that's why I didn't do it for my kid. I don't know.
You had to drop that E. You couldn't have the E and have a great life.
Yeah, that's the thing. And it's like the whole name. It's like Justin Ashley Gomes,
Yeah,
guys, is my
Gomes,
real
the
my
original.
birth last name. Yeah, and then I took my wife's last name, which is Von Chamier. So for those of you that don't know that and you're trying to find me from old stuff, you'd look up Ash
Ash
Gomes or
Gomes.
Justin Gomes. Yeah.
Justin Gomes. I remember
Justin Gomes, man.
Justin Gomes. When I met you, it was you were Ash, but it was Gomes. And
Oh wow,
I
you
like
remember that.
yeah. That it was. I mean, shit, aging myself, man. That's been 20 years.
It
It's got to
was
be, yeah, 20 years.
because you met me when I was in Kill Clouseau, and Kill Clouseau didn't happen until I was like 20. I think that's when we formed, is when I was 20 years old.
Yeah, and I missed the. I would have been gone for the first couple of years of your guys's like playing out in Tallahassee because I moved away with David in the early 2000s, like 2001 or 2. We moved away together into North Carolina to start a band um, called Delayed. And I was up there for 2 or 3 years with them. And then I moved to Pinellas County and I was down there for a year. That's when I turned 21. So that would have been 2004, 2005. I turned 21 living down there in Pinellas County, Clearwater area. And then I came back to, so that I didn't come back to the scene in Tallahassee till like 2005 or 6. It
And
was
the
so,
scene was a scene. Actually, there was actually
yeah,
like, I mean, not to say that there is not a rock scene now, but there were more rock venues. Like it was not like now there's Legacy.
hmm,
And I mean, there are other places, but I mean, just the idea that there was Floyd's, there was the Warehouse, there was Big Daddy's, Yanni's. Is Yanni's even still around? And
I have no
if
idea. I remember
I have no idea
Yanni's.
either.
I don't remember
But all
Yanni's
these
being a
places
rock
were
club.
booking bands, like live, like
Yeah,
original bands,
yeah,
not
live,
just cover
live.
bands.
Yeah, and it was there was a lot of like extra, you know, promotion stuff happening. It was like big business, right? In the scene in Tallahassee when I came back, it's so exciting because I came back and I joined Dave's band. Dave had moved back long before I did, so he already had the band Falling at Will, and they were out playing and they were getting shows at Floyd's. And I came back and he was like, "Join the band," and I was like, "You know it, I'm
Yeah,
here."
I already moved away
And
to being a band.
yeah, and it was we just started playing at Floyd's, but there was so much extra. What I'm saying is like the radio station was really big on show promotion, and it was before it wasn't before the internet, but it was like still before all this social media stuff. I like
Yeah.
MySpace was kicking off or whatever. But it was definitely before online streaming. There was no like
Yeah, the
Spotify.
way that it is now, where
Yeah,
it's like legally free and accessible to access everybody's music. But
yeah,
Napster had happened. Metallica had pursued a lawsuit against them. They took a
yeah,
lot of guff for that. And,
yeah.
but they were the big guys sticking up for the little guys at the time. But the reality is that it was a changing landscape that nobody quite understood. And so it
It
didn't
was
work out well for them. They took a lot of guff for it and it didn't change anything
Yeah,
other
it was
than screw
so
Napster up.
inevitable.
But
So it's
yeah,
so inevitable.
yeah.
And I know we're going to talk about a couple interviews that we saw. One that's an older one that I really enjoyed And I've heard Maynard, it's an interview with Maynard, is Maynard and Steve-O. If you've ever seen Steve-O's interview with Maynard, it's
I
really
haven't
good.
seen that one. Yeah.
It's on Steve-O's tour bus, and like Maynard makes fun of him. He's like, Steve-O's like, yeah, I got this tour bus with a giant face of my face on the side. He's like, yeah, that was a bad fucking idea.
Yeah,
They
totally.
get hammered everywhere they go, and Maynard's kind of poking fun of him. But one of the stories Maynard tells is the Pussifer, V is for vagina release. So Maynard, they did the album, and they were like, heck yeah, while they were writing, recording, and getting the album printed over the time span when they started, everything was normal. Then by the time they got done and Maynard got 80,000 copies of vinyl shipped out, all of the record stores went under and closed. Like he tells this story, he tells this horror story. Like, have you ever, like, it was frightening. It was terrifying because Pussifer wasn't like Tool or anything where they had, this massive thing. This was like a startup, right? And he was funding it with his own money. And he's like, yeah, it's terrifying. 80,000 records came shipping back. Now I got to store them. He was like, we had a warehouse full of records. He's like, but he tells this a beautiful story, like how he just doesn't give up. What do you do? Well, you just keep playing shows, and you sell what you can. He said eventually he sold them all, but it took he sold them all. Imagine that, imagine like you're just on track, and you get done with your album, you get all your stuff out. It's like, yes, and then it crashes. And that's what happened. Totally. That was like in that time frame, in that 2007, 2008 is that time frame. Same time as the house market crash.
I was just going to say 2008 was the housing crash.
Yeah,
everything flipped up, man. It was wild. And imagine though, if you were a first time signed band, I mean, they took that hit, but I mean, let's be frank, it's not like they didn't have access to networking, a fan base, and a budget to recoup. Yeah. I get it. It sucked.
They were a startup of people who are inherently successful, and they had that going for them.
Right.
Now that doesn't always work, depending on your stardom level.
Well, when you're a legend, like a modern day rock legend, I mean, anything Maynard does and has done for the last decade plus, 15 years probably, anything he touches, people are interested to just see what it is. Now he's done so many things that you don't take note of everything he does, because that's the inevitability of doing so many things. And it's funny because I remember being like, for me, he's been my favorite singer since I was a teenager, right? Still my favorite singer. And I remember feeling like, wow, like his catalog is so small, right? Like ultimately up until there was the Perfect Circle's first album, which was like, oh my God, he's going to like sing more than just on Tool on an album every 5 to 8 years.
I remember how exciting that was.
It was so exciting. It was so exciting. I went and saw them open up before their album was even out. And I saw them open up for 9 Inch Nails.
Oh, wow.
It was
what a cool
amazing.
show.
It was like one of the best shows I've ever been to, back to back. And the excitement of being a young teenage guy. We're going out of town with my best buds. You know, you're at a big rock concert. You're trying out a few things, and this insane show happens where and everybody's at peak performance. Your favorite singer's in some band that people don't even know about, but it sounds amazing. And then 9 Inch Nails comes out, and I liked 9 Inch Nails. I liked a lot of 9 Inch Nails, but after that show, and I've said this a few times on this podcast, it's like after that show, I never heard Trent Reznor the same way again. After that, I was like, he's a genius. Like it was so much better than the actual recordings. Like the recordings are so kind of, I mean, they're good, they're great, it's neat, but it's not the level of energy, the tones, the way, oh man, the real instruments playing parts that were originally synthesized. It was like unreal.
I really love it when bands do that, when you like an album and then you see them and then you're like, oh wow, okay. Like one of the more recent bands that did that for me was there's a band called Nothing More. And they have they're like modern kind of they have some industrial elements to their music. Like I want to say, just from watching videos of them, like their bassist is really savvy with like live tracking things while they're playing. Like, so there's tracks, but it's not like a pre-recorded loop track. Like he cues things up on the fly. But when they played live, I saw them at Club LA with Amber, and they bring out this like giant bass that's mounted on this stand, and it's like a stand-up bass. It's like a giant bass, and it
Okay.
swivel. So like they cut the singer will step up with a bow and play it with a bow, or pick it or slap it. They
Mm-hmm.
unhook the bottom and they swing it, and it swings like a pendulum 360 degrees back to the starting position. And they're like up there, they're playing this thing. At one point, two of them are up there just playing this thing, and it's like, what is happening right now? It was so cool, and it wasn't fake. I've been to plenty of shows
Yeah.
where like you're watching them, and there's two guys on stage. There's a guitar player, there's a bass player, or there's two guitar players, a bass player. There's no amps up there. The drummer's playing, and you hear all of this stuff,
Right.
and it's like, come on. And then you see the
Yeah.
one guitar player and playing, and then you hear the other track. It's like, come on, Johnny couldn't make it on tour to do the other part. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
played to Johnny. Like, what happens, man? What's
Well,
happening?
that's such a thing, you know, with in particular, I feel like out of the mainstream forms of music, right? You got rock, you got rap, you got R&B, you got country, you got pop, you got
Yeah.
what else is there? There's many other things, right? But when it
Oh,
comes to rock, I feel like it has the highest of that. Now, classical music would fall into this camp too. But when it comes to rock, as far as the most, you know, more popular music, it still falls in the like most critical camp of it needing to be like really played before you to like it.
right.
Versus like, I mean, with pop or rap, you know, I have literally been to rap shows where, I mean, it's so disappointing. I won't even say who, but some of the biggest rap, like one of the biggest rap stars ever, that I thought it was going to be amazing. He was opening up for the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and I was stoked at this opportunity.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
man, I mean, like they put on the record. They did have a drummer. He had a drummer.
Okay.
That was cool. That was cool. But dude, he just like the record was still spinning. He points the mic out at everybody. He chooses to sing when he wants to. Everyone's singing a song for him, and his backing track's playing the whole time too. I'm like, what
Yeah.
the hell are we doing? We're just all, and he had like 20 people on stage all drinking out of cups. And I'm just like, this is just us hanging out with
Drink it
this
out of cup.
guy.
Yeah,
And
but
that's it. He's on stage hanging out. We're listening to his record, and he's just saying a word on top of it when he wants to. I'm like, are you kidding me?
yeah, it's like,
You cannot do that with rock.
oh no, no.
You get
You know,
crucified.
yeah, and it's bad enough when, because like, and here's like reality, like the musicians like us are going to
Mm-hmm.
call out the rock bands that do the thing, that do the
Mm-hmm.
track thing, and your average people who just love the song, they go out, they're not like mad that there's a track thing happening. They're not
Yeah.
noticing that there's only one guitar player and there's another track playing, and he's playing to another track. They're not noticing that every time that the backup singer, you know, does a backup, it's perfect, even when he's clearly out of breath and panting. And
Yeah.
you know, like,
Yeah.
but it's like perfect. Like they don't notice that that's not really him. It's just a track, and he's lip syncing it up there, and they're just having a
Mm-hmm.
good time, and it's a show.
Yeah.
And like I I do appreciate the show, because some shows are stupid, like uh
Right.
Ice Nine Kills.
Yeah.
Ice Nine Kills. If you ever get a chance, go see it. Doesn't matter where. It was like so unreal. I'd never seen anything like it. It was at Club
Yeah.
LA. You know, John let us up. I think Kurt was with me. I know Kyron was with me, and he let us up in the booth up there. You know, he's got his little VIP penthouse thing up high. And man, just watching it, it was so cool. And you could tell there's definitely some stuff going on there. There's definitely some tracks, but he has an extremely talented band, and his drummer was really playing those parts, and the lead guitar player is really doing these in insanely intricate sweeps and just insane stuff, and it's all
Yeah.
perfectly in time with a track that's there. There's stuff there.
I
Yeah,
can handle that,
yeah,
especially if the tracks in particular are an instrument that nobody's performing. Like, I mean, if you
yeah.
have some synth or backing atmospheric thing, I've got no issue with that at all. That's like 100% fine. But when you're pretending that you are playing something that you simply are not, that's when it's like, oh man. I mean, the worst being the singer, you know. I mean, if the singer's not
Oh
singing,
yeah.
and I feel like some genres, it doesn't even matter. It's just like hangout time anyway. And it's like
And
crazy, the standard.
it, some sound guys will really mess with you. I've seen it
Yeah.
happen. I've seen you know Shaggy. I'm not
Yes.
gonna.
Yeah.
I will not call the band out. I don't know if they're still around, but a long, not yeah, a long time ago, like 10 years ago, there was a band that started kind of popping around. They played Tallahassee. I saw them at Club LA, and
I
they're
think I
really
know who you're
good.
talking about.
Well, they
They
had
were
like this
good.
really. They had a heavy sound, and they had screaming and clean vocals. And the first time I saw them, I was like, man. I told the guy, I was like, you are a great singer, dude. You just need to sing a little louder. Like every time you sing, like, man, I have a hard time hearing you. And I remember they would bring this big box out in the front of the stage, like a big white box. It looked like a little piano, but it was a big box. And then,
Mm.
like, this is a Tallahassee show. I was like, man, great job. Just like project a little more, man. Like you're kind of hiding your face a little bit. And then I saw him again at Club LA, and Shaggy was running sound. And I was like, hey, this guy, man, he's a good singer, but I remember he's kind of quiet. Maybe like work on boosting his vocals up. He was like, nothing I can do. He's got the shit programmed in a box. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, all these fucking clean vocals in that box he's got on stage. He's got a fucking track machine in there.
God,
He's
that's
like
crazy,
calling him out.
man.
I was like, whoa, what? I was like,
Wow.
what the hell? I was like, he was like, I don't know why he doesn't fucking sing. It doesn't. He's like, it doesn't sound that good anyway. Shaggy's brutal. I was like, damn.
Shaggy's
Okay.
brutal.
Yeah, there
That's
he's
funny.
awesome. He's the best. That's why I love
Yeah,
him, because
man.
he's just he's no nonsense. If you're great, he'll tell you. If you suck, he'll tell you.
Well, before we forget, I mean, we're 18 minutes deep, and we really should have mentioned this in the first couple of minutes. But
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. We get on it.
you I mean, we're talking about shows, and that's where we're at. You have a show. I mean, I don't know. Hopefully, this episode comes out before your show happens. We try
It
to put
might
it out
come out.
tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, we have a show. So tonight, as we record this, is Thursday. Tomorrow will be Friday. I'm traveling to Tallahassee tomorrow, and we have a show on Saturday at Legacy. It's Chris Godwin's, like it's like a festival thing. He's calling it the Jam BBQ, like a jam barbecue jam type of thing. But it's classic 2 stages, 13 bands or something. I think Buck Bonsai is opening up the show, which is going to be amazing. This Dying Breed's playing, Mutual Friends is playing. It's gonna be awesome. Bunch of good bands. And
Dave's last night's going to be there too.
Dave's last night's playing. We're playing in the music hall, and we might just be playing a brand new song
Oh snap!
that our drummer wrote, called Wolf-Headed Rooster.
Oh, that's the one.
That's
So
the one.
that's the one that you've played me some of where we're at last week.
Yep.
On a recording of, which just not everyone gets to catch this stuff. So just to recap, you guys went to Atlanta, you recorded the drums professionally. You've brought them back to your new home studio that you've been building for the last month.
Yeah.
And you've already started tracking some of the guitars. You played me a sample of that, and I didn't know what exactly I was listening to yet. And then, but I was already impressed at how good it was sounding. Now, it didn't have any vocals. It was just like guitars. Was there bass on there too? I can't remember. I was hearing it through a...
Yeah, there's bass on it. I think
bass and guitars, and it sounded really good. I was getting really excited, and I was confused because I didn't know exactly. I thought you'd recorded all of it there, or you'd gotten really good at the at program drums. Yeah, I was like, damn, you're getting good at that shit.
Yeah, it's that song particularly is super drum. It's a drum song. I mean, the story of it writing. John's like, hey, I got this song. And I was like, well, how long is it? Because he's like, he just does, he called it his blast beat pattern. It just comes in, you know, it's John 100%. And it's like 2 minutes and 20 seconds long. And it, you know, he just goes through his patterns. He has it all sequenced out. And he's like, I was like, track it. We're in Atlanta at West End Sound with Tom. And I was like, track it, just do it, knock it out. What's the tempo? I forget what he said. 180. Okay. 180. Knocked it out. One take. He like, it's just,
Wow.
it's his song. And
That's
it's awesome. And so then now we have a drum track and it's like, okay. He's like, my job's done. Now you guys got to write it, you know? And I was like, well, what are we going to do? We don't get to rehearse, right? We don't really get to rehearse. So I told Jeff, Jeff's got a recording set up at his place, like a 2-track Focusrite thing with Pro Tools.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I said, all right, here, Jeff, you write something to it. I'll write something to it. We'll compare notes and we'll see what, you know, we'll see what happens. And here's the cool thing. I told Jeff, like we talked about it and Tim looked up, Tim said, I like this game. And I was like, this is going to be fun. So I think I went first. And because I was like I got home, I was all excited, because I got all these drum tracks and I'm uploading them into Pro Tools and they're just raw drum tracks. It's just those John's drums recorded in Bill and Tom's room in Atlanta.
How many tracks do you have?
We did all 5 songs that we have that are complete, plus the 6, which is.
But I mean, how many? Do you have all the individual stems, or is it already mixed
down?
No.
So Tom Tapley at West End Sound and I both run the same program. We both run Pro Tools. So when I talked to him and said, hey, you know, I'm looking to sub out the drum recording, he was like, what do you use? I said, Pro Tools. He said, oh, me too. He said, no big deal. Just bring the hard drive up here. We'll plug your hard drive into my computer and we'll just track on your sessions. And Beautiful. I was like, that's awesome. The only thing that didn't work great is I didn't do a format thing right. He runs a Mac and I run a PC. So we had a little bit of a formatting thing we had to figure out in the beginning. And a couple of the tracks they were missing, like scratch guitar tracks. Wasn't a big deal. I mean, he has all the Mastodon's gear up there in the studio. So it was like just Jeff plugged into a Line 6 Helix that was on the board and knocked out a couple missing tracks, and it was super easy. So then like the way he did the drums was like, and this is like super nerdy. It's a really cool room. It's like exposed double T concrete ceiling that has a lot of firewall insulation kind of up to it, and he's got some room mics up in the ceiling. He had, you know, obviously a mic on all the toms. He had 2 mics on the kick. He had a snare mic, and he also had a mic that was like halfway, instead of like a dedicated bottom of snare mic, he called it like the kick snare, like it's halfway between the snare and the kick, and it kind of gets the attack of the kick and the snare. And then he had, you know, he runs the overheads, the room, and then after the room, he had an SM7, like 12 feet away, and he had it was like, it's crushed. It's like he had like a heavy distressor, you know, compressor on it, and it's just the sound is already like super crushed. And you know, I hadn't done it in a long time mixing drums. I recorded a couple groups in Tallahassee back when I was setting stuff up in a house I was in up there, and I kind of got into it, and I realized I'm just going to do like homework, like YouTube tutorials, start, you know, some Chris Lord-Alge stuff, some, you know, there's a couple of guys I follow that I really like on YouTube that do mixing stuff. And I did a little investment, and I got some plugins. I got the Abbey Road plugin. I got Chris Lord-Alge's it's called a Mixdown, and I got a couple of I did some mastering homework as well. And the Abbey Road has a really cool mastering plugin that I'm using and learning. And I actually use ChatGPT quite a bit. So
I believe that.
ChatGPT, and I was like nerding out. I was texting Tom, the engineer up there. I was like, hey, dude, I'm using this AI software to write an instruction manual on how to mix rock drums. Do you want to see it? He was like, hell yeah, man. So like, and I had this Word document I was making. I was like looking up ChatGPT, like, okay, where do I start? It was like, oh yeah, well, you want to kind of focus on this frequency range and this, and you know, this area for the attack on the kick, and this will like eliminate the muddiness and the toms. And I started plugging it all into this Word document. And next thing I know, it's like 2,000 words. It's like 7 or 8 pages long. And every time I go down another rabbit hole, I would just copy the ChatGPT thing and put it in there. And it like generated a user manual. And I mean, that all means nothing other than it really did show some fun, cool results that really let me learn really fast on how to get the sound I wanted. And, you know, it's not just me. I'm mixing for my band. So they all have, it's everyone's say. So I'm getting it very close to what I think it should be. But then when everyone comes down here to finish tracking, you know, the real tracks, we have the scratch tracks from the demo is what I'm kind of playing with, other than the Wooster song, because we had to record new guitars to it. Oh, and to circle back, and I'll be done with this little journey, but to circle back to the Wooster, I told you that Jeff and I individually recorded our own, we individually wrote something to this 2.5
Did you guys decide that it's going to be just do something in the key of D or anything like that?
Well, we tuned
C if it's in,
we're both in CGC FAD on 6 strings. And it was like, I looked at Jeff, I was like, I don't care. Do what you do. I'm not going to tell you what I'm doing. And I did mine first, and I sent it to the group, and Jeff was like, I haven't wrote mine yet. I'm not listening to it. I was like, I shouldn't have sent it to you. I said, delete it. He's like, yeah. He's like, fuck you. He's like, I hadn't wrote mine yet. I'm not going to listen to yours. I want to write mine.
Yeah.
And I was like, please do. And so like he did, like a week later, he wrote and he sent it. And I was like, oh, this is cool. I was like, oh man, like this opening thing he did is like, it's like crowbar. I was like, man. And I was like, wait a minute. And then I played what I had wrote over what he wrote, and it works.
That's crazy. That's like, crazy,
isn't it? I was like, wait a minute, this crazy like fun riff. It's like it's like a hook. Like I'm just doing like a stupid bendy thing, and it's perfect over his like chuggy crowbar thing. I was like, wow, it's a fun game.
You know, that sounds like so much fun, and that's so similar to so many things that, I mean, even in an edit, you know, and you can go back to this in 1 second, but like sometimes I'll just slap some visuals into a timeline that has music on it. I haven't synced up stuff yet. I'm just plotting it out because I know I'm going to start rearranging it. I go to scope it out and just review, like, are these shots worth keeping in the timeline? And then sometimes it's like, holy shit, that last 30 seconds is how I would almost edit it. I got to nudge it this way and that way a little bit, but that's it. That's already, magic happens, man. It really does.
Do it in there. Yeah, it's where the cards fall, man. And you have to embrace that. I know you do.
Yes.
Because I know you. I know you do. I do. And I thrive on that, man. That's the magic part where you're kind of you're almost redlining and like it's out of control. You know, like you're like, it shouldn't be. You start doing these things like that. Like I wrote something that's just off the cuff. He wrote something off the cuff. You throw them together. Oh, it works. And it's it shouldn't work. There's no way. But you're just kind of flying that improv thing. And
there's no way you would have come up with what you have had you written the traditional way, which is why there's like so many ways to approach recording. It was, you know, and it was interesting hearing, there's an amazing interview that I threw up on Facebook with Danny Carey in it, and it's, you know, Rick Beato interviews him in Danny Carey's lair, and it's actually where they've written all the Tool albums. I had no idea they wrote all of them in the same space every time, and it was the original apartment that Danny Carey had that he's like built into like something that looks scarily similar to a Cue the Muses laboratory. didn't
Isn't
it?
it? With all the stuff on the wall, it looks like the entire walls were switchboards.
I mean, it
And
looked better than
random
what we've got
stuff.
because it's actual all old analog amazing like
Yeah,
relics everywhere.
yeah.
But it was like that. This looks like we could go there and that could be a Cue the Muses laboratory in a
My
heartbeat, you know?
man, yeah, it was so cool. And my favorite part of that interview was when Danny was like, "Yeah, I got this space." He's like, I, he's like, man, I was playing with a couple groups, was making a little money, doing my thing. And, Maynard like lived upstairs. He was like,
Yeah.
Maynard just
Yeah. It's
happened to
wild.
live upstairs. And he said he was trying to start a band with his guitar buddy. And he was like, I was like, well, hey, I rented the space out to him to rehearse
Yeah.
here. And he said they would audition a drummer, they call a drummer, and they all come down for practice, and the drummer wouldn't show up. He was like, man,
Yeah.
I just felt so bad for him. I'll sit in. And then he's like, hey, it started being really fun, man. And
Yeah.
he even said, I'll never make any money doing this, but this is fun. I'm going to keep doing it because it's
Right.
fun.
Like
I
I
like
might do
it.
this for myself is what he
Yeah, yeah,
decided. He
yeah.
liked this progressive thing so much because he hadn't dabbled in that. And the
Yeah.
reason I brought that up was because he also talked about how they have recorded over the years or written songs more so. I mean, he
Yeah.
talked about the recording stuff too, and they don't actually record in there. They just like figure out their songs there, track in there for that purpose, and then go record
Yeah.
them for real at the big studios. But like they've changed how they've written it, you know? I mean, they used to write it all in the room together. It sounds like that still happens to some extent, but there's a lot of writing that happens where they lay down a little bit of some jam and they step away from it. They kind of think about things and bring it back. It sounds a lot more piecemeal. And one of the things I identified with the most was them realizing that Maynard didn't need to be there for those long practices because one of the cornerstone arguments that we would get in Kill Clouseau for my old band of it, we were together for a decade, was we would demand that our singer show up, Cody Williford, who's on our Afraid, the chapter 2 of Cue the Muses.
Yeah.
We demanded that he showed up because if we got to be there, you got to be there. And he'd have to stay the whole time, and we'd be writing songs like, how else are we going to know if we need to repeat a part more or which parts you like? And we need to rehearse the full set. We need to hear you so we can know where the cues are. But looking back on it, he did not need to be there for every fucking... He didn't need to be there for every practice.
Yeah, it's always individual to the
Yeah.
it's always unique to the circumstance, right? Like
Yeah, yeah.
sometimes the vocalist, and it depends on what type of vocalist it is. I will say, and adding to that in a section of Maynard's interview with Steve-O, he goes to tell Steve-O, he's like, yeah, I used to write a lot with Tool, in the early days. I used to like be in the room and write and collaborate on ideas on some of the early albums. He said, but as and he literally said this. He said, as you get older and egos get bigger, he says, I just, I'll write stuff. He said, I write stuff every day. He said, I wake up, I have my morning coffee, and he said, I have to write something. And usually it's Pussifer. He said, sometimes sometimes I'll send it to the Tool guys, or sometimes I'll send it to the APC guys, and usually it's crickets. He said, if it's
Mm-hmm.
not crickets, it's cute riff. Stay in your fucking lane.
Yeah.
He fucking said that on Steve-O's interview. I was like, damn.
That's the thing, man. There's so much there to touch on. The ego thing, it's like if you have success in whatever your field is, regardless of it being music, there is this inevitable like confidence that you start to get where you settle into that confidence that how something needs to be executed.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to be able to be sensitive enough to let that break occasionally, because it's like because I think what you end up with is the same thing every time. You kind of start getting too repetitive and circular in your creativity. And it's like it's important to be able to break out of those patterns. So hence again, bringing it back to your experience with how you recorded the wolf-headed rooster. Is that right? Wolf,
Wolf-headed
remember?
rooster. Yeah,
Okay,
that's it.
wolf-headed
Otherwise
rooster.
known as the woofster.
Okay, I got confused because you said that at one point. All right, Wooster. I like wolf-headed rooster. I got to be honest.
Wolf-headed
I'm going to
rooster.
say the full thing.
Yeah.
What a different way of writing, right? And again, you come out of it with like a totally different. I bet I would assume. I haven't heard all your stuff, but I would assume that song's going to sound different than the other tracks on the album. Not to say that
Oh,
the other ones are
absolutely.
repetitive in any way, but that one's probably a standout as being more different than the others, I would think.
Absolutely. It's, John writes all the drum parts. There isn't any circumstance in the band where one of us is like, "Hey, John, play this." "Oh, I got this drum beat." He writes all the
Hey,
drums.
stay in your fucking lane.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's like, "Hey, easy. Stay in your fucking lane, kid."
Yeah.
But John, like, we collaborate and we write in the room together quite a bit. Jeff will bring a riff to the table. I'll bring riffs to the table. Sometimes it's more one-sided. Like, there's one of the songs Jeff wrote everything like in sequence, all the riffs, and then I wrote on top of that. I really, really enjoy doing that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of my favorite ways of writing, where I have a foundation, and then
Uh-huh.
now I have to find a way to uniquely augment this foundation without like interchanging anything in it, and adding flavor. And then there's other ones where the roles reversed. But
Mm-hmm.
this one is exclusively John wrote on his own, away from everyone. Like, this is it. These are the patterns, and we were like, okay, and we like kind of mapped it out. All right, where you're doing 4 and 4 and 4, you're playing these in it. The signatures change, but yeah, it's basically you're doing a repetition of 4 this time, 4 times this way, 4 times this way again, 4 times, but they're always different. And then it ends with just like a pattern that has a count that changes. It's like a 1 2 3 bop, 1 2 3 4 5 bop, 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 5, and then the last one's like 9 or something. It's like it does a strange like count, but it doesn't feel weird. It doesn't feel like, hey, this guy's doing math, I don't understand. It just feels like cool, punch your friend in the face kind of stuff.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I mean, I think that the exploration of the different time signature stuff is obviously, it's like, I mean, it's just
Yeah.
fun. It's not like intentional per se. It's just like whenever I'm writing a riff, I'm just searching for a way that it feels fresh, new, perks my ear up. And one of the ways that I consistently find myself arriving at that sensation is when it's the time signature is doing something a little bit different, something a little bit unpredictable. It's hard to
Mhm.
do something really unpredictable with the time signature staying totally the same and staying in the same groove. It's that's hard, and it doesn't. Every song doesn't need to be unpredictable. Most
Yeah.
definitely not. That's what I get off on. That's what I like. I like not knowing the end of the movie before I'm watching it. I like not knowing where the twist is going to come in the movie. I mean, I relate it heavily to film. Like I like, for writing a song, I like it to feel like it's telling a whole story almost more than it just being a song. Even though I'm not writing the lyrics to it 90% of the time, I just
Yeah.
want it to feel like we went across a whole movie, like a 3-act thing, rather than, and there's nothing wrong with verse, chorus, bridge out, kind of that approach. That's a traditional song. I love many songs that are that.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the thing that I like to write, I just like it to change up more than that. And I relate it to how when I'm editing, I'm like, there's just so many similarities to me. I can see why I like doing both of these things and how much they play into each other. On the other end of the spectrum for the editing, I mean, a big part of the success that I've had in my videos, even outside of the music videos, but the ones for clients are where they'll allow me to have the reins to pick. I mean, I usually do pick the music, but when it's something that's cool, like the Trans Am stuff, like I pick
Yeah.
music that I, for the most part, like would listen to anyway. Like I like the music that I find. I spend days looking for the music, And that I wait for that to trigger the inspiration on how the pace of the edit's going to go, what style of edit it's going to be. Until I get the music figured out, I don't know what the feel of my video is going to be. I don't know how I'm going to edit it. All I've done is cut up and
That
gathered a lot of potential footage for use, but I don't know how I'm laying it out.
that's
I
such a
might have
huge. It's a huge part of it. It's
It's a
massive,
huge
right?
part. It's a huge part. And I think a lot of times in a movie, you know, an editor is already approaching it on that level. I think a lot of times in what's considered to be commercial work, it's not thought about as much unless it's just a fast cut with visuals. Obviously that's something. But when it has like a storyline and you're trying to twist and turn it and stuff, at
Yeah,
the production level that I'm hanging out in, like the other production, options around this level, because I'm not Hollywood studio. A
sure.
lot of times the music, I think it's an afterthought. And I think that the way that I like to approach a lot of this stuff is almost more like a music video. I'm like that. It's so important to me that I find the right song because it's going to dictate how I edit it, not me editing and putting music after the fact. It's more than just, picking out a song and then cutting it to the beat. That's anyone can do that. That's still not
Yeah,
really building it around. That's not guiding your edit. That's just telling you where to cut. That's different.
yeah,
The
yeah. Cutting.
style of edit.
That's when music videos kind of started feeling a little lifeless to me
Hmm.
when it was like rock videos and it was just a cut, like it never stayed on a shot for more than like a second, a half a
Hmm.
like just
Hmm.
constant clips. And I can imagine, you being a musician and doing the editing that you do on video, I can see how having a tone, having a musical tone to use as kind of a basis of texture, right? Like I can see you in your laboratory, like finding the right song and then like exploring, like letting the tone of the song, you know, kind of help you dictate the tone of the visuals
Oh, I mean, it,
and going in that whole
that's the
world.
thing. Like, I think, again, just assessing from other productions options and my category of production level as like a one man band kind of style stuff, right?
Yeah.
That I let that guide me more than most. Like I will change the whole style of the edit, like more than just how it's cut. If what's being said, I mean, it'll even affect what I choose to put storyline wise, where I put it, based on
Yeah.
how the music is behaving and setting the tone. It affects the color grade I choose. It affects, like the way that the graphic text comes in, or if there is or isn't text. How old does this need to feel? How new does it need to feel? It's like everything about it is. Now there's sections throughout the middle once you get into the story. What's really important for these types of edits is to have a really powerful intro, because in the world of online, that's where you have to get people out of the gate.
Yeah.
And
And
so
you
it's
have a
just,
great one. You have a great one. In a world.
oh, for my personal little
Yeah. Yeah.
video vlog series stuff
Yeah.
of tutorials.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
love
that's a fun little thing. But like on the Trans Am stuff, like the reason, even with like the Burt Reynolds video that did so well,
it.
it's
Hmm.
the intro that pulled people in. Because without the intro, if you watch that video and that intro wasn't there, the intro is like the first 45 seconds is just like this internal monologue that Burt Reynolds is talking and then walking around the car, and it's cutting in and out,
Yep.
and it's just got that is really what sets the entire tone for the whole video. And that would not exist without the music, because the music is what guided the pace and how I did all of that.
Yeah.
And I've had hundreds of people message me personally asking what the music was on that video. And it's a licensed track. It's not like even something that you find on Spotify. It's a band that sold their music out of the gate, and that's the
Sure.
arena I have to work in for copyright issues when it's commercial work, but
Yeah. So it's like stock music libraries, right?
they're really good. Like
Yeah.
there's some really good stuff out there. And I have memberships to 3 different stock music sources. I
Mhm.
spend like $1,500 a year just to have memberships to these music libraries. And even still, if I don't find the right song, I will go find it somewhere else and pay, another $100 for the one song for the one single time use on that video, because that's how it works. And
Yeah.
that's just if it's online. It's a whole other bag if you're trying to actually play it on TV. That's a whole, for a
And I
lot of
wonder,
the companies, it can be very expensive once you start doing that.
well, I wonder, like, so if you're paying for the song, is that just going to the company who holds the rights to the song? Are there artists like I'm just, and that's kind
It's
of like a,
both.
it's like a window. Like, does the artist get paid every time you pay to use it, or
I
is it a
I think it
one-time?
works differently for the different libraries.
Mhm.
I believe that they get paid an initial amount, and then they also get paid some percentage. Or if they do not, then they get to see the numbers. I would assume they get to see the numbers of how many times their song was purchased or downloaded from a music library,
Uh-huh.
and it makes them more valuable for the return, because all these artists make multiple albums worth of material that goes onto these sites. It's like you're really signing on for the next 3 or 4 albums that you make. That might be EPs, they might be 5 songs,
Yeah.
but they're going to be given to this company, and you will see your music being spun on all these different forms of commercial work throughout
Huh.
the world, which is
Is
which
it
is
vocals
weird.
too? Like vocals
Yeah,
too?
some of it has singing too. So, like, one of my favorite videos that I made in particular, well, first of all, the most recent Trans Am video
Hmm.
that we just broke 550,000 plays on it. It came out a little over a month ago, which is great. The
Yeah.
opening song to it has vocals in a big way. I mean, the song's killer. It's got a female vocalist on it. It's got tons of attitude. And what you do is you download both the version with the vocals and without, and then I can just put in the
Yeah.
vocals when I want it. Then I take that out when I want the person talking that's in the actual video, and then I bring it back for climactic to climax it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
elevate it to another level.
Yeah.
90% of the time, I do not use music that has vocals in it because
Hmm.
it conflicts with the story, and what's being
Yeah.
said.
Yeah.
But when I find one that's just like magic, in particular because of the vocals, I will work it like that. I'll have the instrumental, and I'll have because most of these work that way. I'll have the
Yep.
instrumental, I'll have the vocal, and just go back and forth. And one of my favorite videos that I ever made, a personal one called, it's a short film. It's almost 10 minutes long, and it's called Are We There Yet? And
Yeah.
that
That's a
came
good
out
one.
like, thanks, man. Like, for
Yeah.
me, that's one of my favorites. And that's a licensed song. It's got vocals, the guys, singing, it's coming in and out. But that would not be what it is without him singing. And it's kind of like I'm not Christian, but it's got to be like kind of a Christian song. I mean, it's talking about healer. I don't know. It's like, but it's got overtones of Christianity to it, but it's like, doesn't matter. Like, it's the messages I identify with 100%. Like, every lyric of it is like beautiful, and I identify with it. So I'll use something like that.
Yeah.
If it stirs up that emotion in me.
That's awesome. It's like, I'm curious, and the reason I'm curious because I think I have a catalog of like 150 something working
Yeah,
project songs of my own,
yeah,
just
yeah,
in on my hard drive. It's like, ooh, this is starting to get out of hand. What am I going to do with all this music that I'm never going to put vocals to? And if I do, it'll either be me doing it as a silly experiment, or just stuff. And there's stuff that'll
yeah.
never work with a band. So like, man, it might be an avenue to go down and like pick 5 or 6 songs and say, hey, here's some hard rock jams.
Hmm.
See what to do. It's
It's
just,
definitely possible. I don't know what definitely they need to sound like complete recordings and polish them out as good as you can, because it is
oh yeah, yeah,
competitive in the
yeah.
market. But I will say this, like, there's many times where, like, when it comes to rock, a lot of the rock, I would say 85%, I mean, I don't mean to bash here, but 85% of the rock on all these music sites is so cheesy sounding to me.
Oh
It tries
yeah.
to sound so heavy and tough, and it's so cliche, and it's like so similar to one another, and I feel cheesy every time I use it,
Yeah.
and I'm like, ugh.
Like, I know, so now I'm gonna start picking it out. Now I'm gonna start picking out these, because there's a video game that I get to play maybe 20 minutes in the evening. It's like, you know, we talked about the dessert of the day thing, hadn't been drinking. Like, I have this game that I like. It's a race car game, and it's a demolition derby race car game. It's called Wreckfest on the PlayStation. And it's like, I have this, like, you kind of like deck out your little car, you do your little upgrades and you race, but you also like crash other people and crash your car and it gets destroyed. But it's got this really cool rock soundtrack, and some of the songs are really fun and I like, but it's
Yeah.
like no idea who it is. It's like no name, no name, like just ghost bands. Like, you would think it's like, but you, the way it
Yeah.
sounds, you would think like this should be a song I've heard on the radio or something, but like
Yeah.
it's not, and it's got
Well,
to be that. Yeah,
it can be because I mean, some of the music that I come across, I mean, I just bashed some of the rock, but some of the stuff that I come across is like it's I feel bad for the artist that they didn't get to put this out like in a way where they could just I'd go see this live. It's that good. You know,
yeah,
like there's top notch stuff on there as well. So it goes everywhere in between, but it is when I say I feel bad for them, it's like it is weird, you know, like you're giving up the rights to your music. You can't go sell that CD. You can't go get signed on those songs. You know, you're
yeah.
giving that up and just accepting that this will be the pay scale and the place that potentially, you know, what you're talking about is great though. Having that, when I write, you know, I have a lot of singular riffs, but when I write a song, I like usually follow it through to completion. It takes me forever. I'm so meticulous. So I don't have a library of songs that are start to finish like you're talking about. But with you having that, it does definitely make you a candidate. You should check it out. I mean, I'll give you a list of the ones that I
Yeah.
use. It could be
Well,
you know, you message them and see where how that works and what their pay rate is. I'd be curious actually.
I am curious to at least follow through that far, but it's
Yeah.
like anything else, you know, like, is that you're like me. We're both, I keep my schedule's very full, and
Yes.
adding on other elements of projects is like, sounds like a great, good, fun time. And I'll never be able to do
Dude.
it.
Yeah, I have so much footage that would be amazing to sell as stock footage for B-roll. You know, some of these places don't even exist anymore, like the stuff from Cape Sandblast. You know, the hurricane
Yeah.
knocked that out. It'll never look the way that it did. You know, this
Yeah.
stuff didn't make it into my videos. This is like, I'm sure I could put together some stuff that would be of value, but I do not have the time to do it. I picture eventually having an editor under my belt, and that's one of the tasks that I'll
Mm.
assign to them. But then it's like, I got to make sure it's worth paying them to do that and that I'll make, you know, the amount back. And then there's the AI stuff creeping in and all that. But taking on more projects is like, it feels like an impossible feat right now. You're talking to me, and I'm on my, I don't know, 10th or 11th day in a row with no days off of 14 to 15-hour editing days trying to wrap up this project. And I have 10 more ahead of me, at least. It's somewhere between 10 to 12 more days. I'm going to take off this Saturday to come to the show. I'm going to take off a few hours for Easter.
Awesome.
And then I've got to go film a commercial in between all this and help the pre-production planning. And I'm trying to finish out a bid on another project that'll happen in May out in Destin. And I'm trying to finish up this 70SS video that leads to potentially a lot more people going ahead and signing on officially for their car films. And
Yep.
it's like, there's no more time. Time does not exist. The only thing I'm taking a break for is to eat. And I am adamant that I get at least 30 minutes of exercise of some form, because
Yeah.
other than that, I'm sitting in a chair all day and my back is going to go out. I won't have the headspace that I need to for my creativity. So I take that time, and I'm trying to get in a minimum of 30 minutes of guitar practice, you know, because I'm not going to let that
And
fall completely off.
you gotta be a husband, you gotta be a dad, you gotta take out the trash, you know, get the dishes done.
It's full up there right now, and I feel like an asshole. You know, like I got to go change that out. You're right, man. It's just
Yeah.
too many things, but it's all heading towards this beautiful collision over the summer, where around the end of June, somewhere in there, things are going to start shape shifting for the way my life is conducted. And, you know,
Yeah.
and it's going to be great. I'm going to have more time to do this kind of thing. And it's like, it's going to be fantastic. I'm so excited. I can't wait to get there. And it's like, you know how sometimes it's like the closer you get to it, the more it hurts to not do it. And it's like, it gets more
Yep.
painstaking because it's actually within reach. And it's like, okay, all right, it's almost there. And now it's like, it's getting even harder because it's so close to me getting to work on, in particular, Cue the Muses episode 3 and knocking that out and having that come out. And I'm like, so like, it hurts so bad to not be working on that right now. And it's in the editing room on the music video part, the climax of the whole thing. And I'm watching it. I'm like, God, this is so cool, man. This is like, I mean, not to hype up our own stuff so much, but it is a great song. It's such cool performance footage. I'm just like, it's just so great. I'm just like, and the story stuff's so fun. I'm just dying to get that out. And then the
It's
follow
gonna
up to
be
that'll
awesome.
be episode 4, you know, and I'm hoping, you know, with this new lifestyle that I'll be able to actually start. It'll be a regular regiment of my week where, you know, at least either, I mean, I'm torn on how I'm going to do it. I'm either going to do like one full day a week of editing on Cue the Muses plus whatever else I can fit in when I have a gap, but that'll be
Yeah.
like the minimum. Or I'm going to do like 2 hours every day, you know, of my editing day is on that. You know, I don't know which way it's going to be better. It might be dependent on what part of the edit I'm in, you know,
Yeah.
and but one way or the other, it's going to be a consistent part of my work life, you know, and it will be part of the work life, not just the extra thing, even though it's not bringing in any money. I know that it's the end goal that we will get to. It's just, it's a weird long gamut of getting there.
Yeah, and you know, it's so hard. It's so hard to be the passionate, like, what's the right word? The words escape me, but like not entrepreneur, but like pioneer. Like we're trying to pioneer something, you know, and it's
Yes.
so difficult for you because it's all you now. You know,
Right.
everyone
I
on the
feel so
team.
guilty all the time.
No, but we have a team, you know, we have a Facebook
Yeah,
thread, the whole team, and everybody did so much when we
I
were, you know,
know.
conceptualizing and doing it. And that was like great. And then, but now it's like, it sucks for you because it's like the team that we're unable to help. All we can do is say we
I
love you,
know.
and
I,
you know, if you need a back rub or you know, I'll send you some
I just
coffee.
feel, I hate that I'm such the bottleneck of it, but it, you know, it is what it is. But
It's gonna be amazing.
it's gonna be great. It's still happening. It's already like the most of the, you know, that part's done. I enjoy doing it. It's not like I'm never complaining about doing it. Like you'll never
No,
hear me complain about doing it. The complaint is that I don't get to do it as much as I want to do it. So
yeah,
but
and
that really is changing.
we need to get and we're gonna get him on here. I'm gonna make sure it happens. I had a long discussion this morning with Rob, um,
Uh-huh.
on a text conversation. We had a little Facebook thing, and he had a post up, and it was kind of about some silly with these newer superhero movies, and I actually commented something pretty vulgar on it because I spoke my opinion on a lot of this new stuff, and my opinion kind of aligns with Trey Parker and Matt Stone's opinion on the newer Indiana Jones movies, where they depicted George Lucas and Steven Spielberg raping Indiana Jones. If you've seen that one.
Okay.
And
No,
so
I
I kind of
haven't. I have not.
so it started like that. And I think Rob had to deleted his post. And like I was driving to work. It was first thing this morning. I was driving to work and he messaged me. And I was like, yeah, I was like, sorry, man. He was like, no, I'm not upset at all. No, he's like, you know how Rob is. He's like, no. I totally agree. It's like, it's stupid. It's dumb. And I'm like, so
But
then we
he
got on
thought,
this.
yeah.
No. He agreed with me, but he's mad that Facebook gets upset because I literally said, yeah, they need to quit raping these older stories. And
Uh-huh.
what I said was instead of taking older characters from an era that is different than today's era and raping them into a mold that fits today's era and agenda, they should just have creative teams in this era now creating new characters and new content that is today's era. Like, I'm just tired of seeing.
I mean, cue the music. Hey guys, if you're enjoying the podcast, that's awesome. We really appreciate it. But you should check out our full actual web series if you have not seen it yet, because this is where we put all the effort into a production. It's a sci-fi comedy, but we're a rock band, and so we put music videos inside of each episode.
No views but your own easy escape. Don't pay no mind to what they say. They're in their own world anyway.
Each episode features a new singer on each song that we unveil within the episode.
And will they
all unique singers from the Southeast region, most of them from right here in the Florida Panhandle, and all independent, unsigned, unknown artists until now.
No matter how hard I try, turn it down.
Premise of the show, Ash and I are a couple of bonehead guitar players living off the grid, trying to save humanity, which has been brainwashed from an artificial intelligence stripping us away of our creativity and our creative spirit.
We developed a mind travel machine to go into people's brains and collaborate with their inner muses, bringing back music that is completely organic from human muse collaborations. Enter Cue the Muses. You know what, we're kind of getting sidetracked, man. There's only so much time for frequency absorption. We need to hop on it. Can you fire up the cadence tubes?
Yeah.
And I'll go ahead and get my shoes tied.
Okay. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and click the little bell. Tell YouTube that we matter, that you like us, and that you want to see more of us, because that's the only way that happens. Stay tuned.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been another fun podcast with you guys. Thanks for watching all the way to the end if you made it this far. And we will catch you on the next one. And maybe we're going to see you out there on Saturday, March 30th or 31st. What is the date?
It's Saturday. I don't know what I don't recall what the date is on Saturday.
The last day of March. I think it's
Possibly.
the 30th.
No, Sunday's the last day of March because Monday is April Fool's Day.
That's right. Okay, so March 30th then, guys.
March,
so if you see this tomorrow, because we'll put it out tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll be in Tallahassee hanging out with the boys. Ash, it's great talking to you, man.
You too,
thanks
man.
for watching. If you guys are at the end, man, go get a sandwich.
Go get a life.
Go watch some Cue the Muses.
Actually, you should totally do that. We need more plays. Thanks.
Later, guys.